Alright, listen. This isn't gonna be a recurring thing. I'm not gonna make another video about Zoro and Sanji fans, but I need to get one more out of my system. So if that's not your thing, you're gonna wanna click right off this video. You're gonna wanna do that now. I hadn't planned on making another One Piece video anytime soon, and if I ever did make another one, it was originally planned to flesh out and maybe correct some of the errors I had made in my first One Piece video. But you know what, I'm feeling like uploading some mild rage bait to give this channel a little more controversy, I guess, and get back to some of the more anime roots that I started on. In my previous video, I discussed some of my qualms with One Piece, which at this point I take back. Because after Wano, honestly, I think the animation has had kind of a renaissance of quality. Just some of the most stellar grade AAA scenes in art direction I've ever seen in the show. So I guess I just needed to be patient. But in all seriousness, I'll save that for another video if I ever decide to actually make a third One Piece video. I want to rehash a little bit, flesh out, and do a little bit of like a pseudo case study on a statement I made in my last video about Zoro and Sanji fans being some of the worst aspects of One Piece. Good news to some, I take it back. Zoro fans are miles ahead worse, and it's just not even particularly close at this point. One very small disclaimer, I do like Zoro. I am of the belief that every crew member in One Piece is completely vital, and they all offer something interesting and or at least entertaining for the show. But anyway, I still think Sanji is at least taking second place when it comes to having the most obnoxious fanbase, but Zoro has just by far the worst fucking fans. Honestly, I get why each side hates the other, because they're an amplified, worse, more degenerate version of the characters they dick ride. That being Sanji and Zoro fans. It's almost funny how they mimic the rivalry of the characters in real life, except for the fact that in real life, the fans on each side actually legitimately would probably kill each other if they could. At least the terminally online ones. Whereas in the show, it's just a rivalry. This is why in recent years I've kind of leaned a little bit more on the other Straw Hats, and why Frankie is my secret pick for favorite character. None of the other Straw Hats have as toxically obnoxious of a fan base as the Monster Trio, except Luffy. I think everybody that likes Luffy the most is just pretty chill guy. It's just these two edgelords that cause the most problems. Which, yes, also, it is a trio. And Jinbei is not in it. But yeah, a large quantity of Zoro fans might as well just be a cult at this point. The bulk of the most vocal and obnoxious power scalers in One Piece are like 9 times out of 10 a Zoro fan spouting the goofiest fucking bullshit ever hear in your life. I swear these people spend more time crafting the most convoluted non-canon One Piece power scaling chart for every character, putting Zoro in his own special boy tier. Even above Luffy, probably, some of them. I don't know, these people are deranged. Then they do looking for employment. And or, well, I was going to say a love life, but let's be honest. Zoro fans have some kind of an inferiority complex. As I said in my last video, I think there's a decent amount of Sanji fans that are highly pretentious, quite up their own ass, fitting for a character who's supposed to be themed after a Frenchman, I suppose. But Zoro fans can't accept Sanji being at least close to his equal, and anytime Sanji gets a crumb of anything at all, doesn't matter what it is, anything, Zoro dick riders have to scramble to slander Sanji or demean him in some way, without fail, every time. I think these people are so fucking stupid. If Oda gave Sanji AIDS, Zoro fans would say Zoro has super AIDS, and I don't even think that's an exaggeration. Sanji gets a new power-up. Sanji gets possibly one of the greatest character development arcs of the show. Zoro and Sanji consistently almost every arc fight respectively the second and third most powerful villains. Usually Zoro facing the second, and Sanji facing the third. Zoro dick riders.
That don't mean nothing.
Zoro fans have the worst extrapolation capabilities of One Piece. It is crystal clear, absolutely see-through transparent at this point, that Oda directly sets them up as equals in every single fucking way. From the fights to any time there's been direct power rankings in the show, which doesn't happen often, but it has happened. The fact that they are both Luffy's wings, after the time skip they both mastered a different kind of haki, however both are also able to wield armament and observation. And both are direct parallels to the wings of Roger's crew. Truthfully, yes, I do prefer Sanji as a character. I just think they're cooler, personally. I like their design more. I like their fighting style more. I just personally think they're cooler, that's all. But I will say, none of this is even bias. None of what I've said now is bias. Everything I have stated so far is literally just having the ability to extrapolate. Oda has somewhat of a formula, and if you even have the slightest capabilities of pattern recognition, you can see it. Do I really want or need Sanji to have Conqueror's haki, or to keep nudging up alongside Zoro? Honestly, no. If Sanji was much weaker than Zoro, and maybe just relegated to the chef of the crew, maybe occasionally having a fight when he needed to, honestly, I'd still be a fan. I would still probably even like him more than Zoro, just from personal preference alone. But the writing is literally on the wall. So now that I've pretty much shown that Zoro fans have the worst fucking pattern recognition, or I don't know, I guess they're just not even reading One Piece, you could tell me Zoro fans are just looking at the pretty pictures and huffing car exhaust, and I'd easily believe it. There is this, like, really stupid fucking, like, rubric for power scaling equals coolness that these people latch onto, as will, that I just fucking hate. Like, if your character is not EOS, Yonko, Advanced Conqueror, Super 12-inch cocked up, then they're just not worthy of being your favorite. And it's just, God, it's so stupid. Now there's one argument that particularly irritates me, and that's the Zoro on the rooftop, he took on Kaido argument. This one gets me because Zoro fans they love to pretend that this fight, yeah, the one where Zoro got one little slash in on Kaido before Kaido made him look like Mihawk's sword wrapped in fucking diapers, somehow proves that not only does this drastically put him above Sanji, but that it might even put them on par with Luffy. If that's not the stupidest, most hilarious thing, I don't know what is, honestly. Let's be real here, it was cool, and it did showcase somewhat the extent of Zoro's capabilities and how far he has come. But he got his ass fucking handed to him, and then Sanji had to carry a fucking massive man-shaped diaper around for the rest of the arc, as he did fucking nothing. Well, okay, never mind, he got his cool fight in at the end where they fought the trio. But anyway, it wasn't even close. There was no way ever at this point that Zoro was going to beat Kaido. It wasn't happening. Luffy, the protagonist, practically died to him twice, more or less. And then only after achieving some kind of silly but badass god-hidden achievement unlock ability, was able to defeat Kaido. And then, you know what? Do you know what happened after that? Can you guess? I've already said it, but it is kind of difficult for Zoro fans, so I'll make sure to say it pretty loud and clear this time. Luffy ended up taking on the main big bad. Zoro ended up taking on the second big bad, and wait for it, guess who took on the third? That's right, it was Jinbei. Oh wait, no it fucking wasn't, it was Sanji, continuing the tradition and the formula of One Piece final arc fights. Wow, shocking. What a shocking series of events that nobody could have predicted at all, ever. Now this isn't meant to completely denigrate Zoro. Again, it was cool, and honestly, I do think that this was one of the few times in the series where I actually let go of my bias a little bit, and I thought Zoro's fight in this arc was actually somewhat cooler than Sanji's, even though I liked both still. And now we're coming up on Elbaf, and yet again, a decent amount of Zoro fans can't comprehend Sanji eventually also receiving Conqueror's haki. For now, in their defense, Sanji still has yet to show that he has the capabilities for it. But again, anyone with pattern recognition and extrapolation can very well sit back and see that Oda is clearly setting Sanji up, yet again, to be consistently Zoro's rival. And mostly his equal. One thing that I think Zoro fans really just need to get in their heads, whether they like it or not, whether they want to believe it or not, but it is a fact, is that unironically, like no bias here, just objectively speaking, the gap between Luffy and Zoro is leagues greater than the gap between Sanji and Zoro. And anybody with at least mildly decent object permanence, enough to watch all 1,000 whatever the fuck episodes, and with even a hint of extrapolation, could come to the same conclusion as me here. Man, it's fucking wild. Like, Zoro and Sanji fans really are just 100% the worst of One Piece. Especially Zoro, though, at this point. Ooh, alright. Well, I just found out about this. Yeah, this is douchey. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have any agenda, personally. Yeah, this is that whole Sanji fans competing with Zoro, and they both have this constant fight to see who can be douchier. I'm still uploading this video, though. As it is. Because, honestly, they've both had incidents like this. Both of them are equally douchey. Point of this video was just that one side is more verbally obnoxious. One is so fucking vocal that I've heard One Piece fans in real life talk about how they don't like Zoro just because they've heard the fans talk. So anyway, yeah, I'm not changing anything in the video. This is douchey, I'm not gonna lie. This is Sanji fan cringe, but I mean that's really all it is. And I did a little digging, and at the end of the day, there's like a couple people on Twitter. Big fucking deal. I think a lot of it is also just, again, boils down to power scaling, which I've already made a video on that before, just being the worst part of any anime fan base. Don't get me wrong, it's also hilarious, but it does get tiring after a while.
Your goat's washed. This your goat looks like a bum-ass fraud to me.
Another thing about Zoro fans that I think really puts them above the rest in terms of just how fucking obnoxious and stupid they can be, is their total misunderstanding of what One Piece is even about. Above anything, I shouldn't even need to explain this, holy shit. But above anything, One Piece excels in its character drama, and honestly, while it has some of the coolest combat scenes and fights of any anime, I think so anyways, it's up there for me. The biggest appeal is the world building and the characters' personal developments and like internal conflicts with some of the situations they're put in before they like fight, anyway. But that's honestly just, I could make a whole other video where I discuss that point, and it would probably be more interesting than this one. But anyway, adjacent to it though is the relationships of the Straw Hats, which clearly portray them as somewhat of a family, well, honestly just a family, to each other. Zoro and Sanji obviously have a rivalry, and maybe out of context if you were to show some rando a scene of them beefing it out, they might think they're enemies. But again, to anybody who reads the manga or watches the show or, I don't know, does both, it's obvious that it's literally just that. It's a rivalry. And several scenes throughout the show reveal that it's just sheer machismo, but ultimately they along with every other member of the Straw Hats care about each other. The number of Zoro fans that I see constantly chomping at the bit to make out Zoro with some kind of Sigma Alpha Ultimate Chad who would beat Sanji's ass and kick him out of the crew the moment he got the chance is insane, and further reinforces my belief that a majority of Zoro fans just ain't even watching One Piece for the same reason actual fans are. It's just pretty pictures of their favorite green-haired samurai. You can honestly fucking flip the pages of a preschool picture book in front of these people, and as long as it had Zoro on the pages occasionally, I really truly think they'd be content for hours just drooling over it. One particular example was during Whole Cake, and I've seen this brought up many times, so I figured I would just also bring it up here, but it's one of my personal favorite scenes. It's the fight between Sanji and Luffy. A majority of Zoro fans unironically believe that this would be where Zoro slashed Sanji down, cold blood. But what did Zoro do when Luffy had to fight Usopp way back during Water 7 in Eni's lobby? He sat his ass back and respected the duel. And this wasn't even a fight where Usopp was really in the right at all. What this revealed was that Zoro is not actually a bloodthirsty maniac like many of his fans really want him to be, and that Zoro wouldn't have done fucking shit unless his captain told him what to do. And this is exactly how it would go in Whole Cake, especially considering Sanji actually had a good reason for leaving. Few, in fact. So not only do Zoro fans have absolutely no pattern recognition, as I've already discussed, they also have a hard time grasping the story itself, and that's being generous. Obviously, this doesn't apply to all Zoro fans. I guess secondary disclaimer. And I do think I'm really only describing a majority of terminally online Zoro fans, but it's so fucking tiring. And I mean, again, second to Zoro, I do think Sanji has almost an equal number of obnoxious fans, like this bullshit here. But again, if the tables were turned, and it was Sanji's character that was actually based on this guy, you know for a fact without fail Zoro fans would use this, just like the Sanji fans are now. Zoro is a good character. Maybe not the most complex as far as character development and writing in One Piece goes, but they have had some legitimately great scenes, and they have some stiller fight scenes especially. I really don't hate this character. I don't hate any of the Straw Hats. It came with my ability to understand the fucking plot and my decent skill of reading and watching stuff. I suppose that's enough rage baiting, or what I would prefer to call it, literally just telling the truth. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here, folks, and if I ever do make another One Piece video, I know for a fact it's gonna be on something more interesting, like maybe talking about how One Piece is almost more of like a drama shonen than it is just about the fights. Because I do kind of believe that a little bit, but anyway, enough stalling. I hope you all have... the only other thing I wanted to talk about really was just how, oh yeah, the other thing I didn't add in the video is how stupid this new thing of upscaling is. I don't know if it's particularly new, but it's kind of the first time I'm really hearing about it, to the extent I've been where, I don't know, like, on its own, I guess it makes sense. Like, some things might upscale a character depending on what happens, like if... what's an example? I really can't think of anything right now. I guess if Sanji were to beat Kizaru in a full-on fight, I guess that would be a downscale for admirals for some people. I don't know, it's so fucking stupid, man. Like some people take it to such an extreme, though, where like, oh, Mihawk has green pubes. This means that Zoro is stronger, and you're a dumb fuck. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but it's like, I don't know, it's so fucking stupid, and I wasn't really paying attention to this discourse until, like, this video has been mostly finished and like, edited. But it's really hilarious to me. It's really fucking stupid. I'm needing some wine to really read it and get through it. But yeah, I don't know, that's it. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about this. It's fucking stupid. One Piece power scaling is the worst fucking thing in existence. Albeit a little funny sometimes, but that's all.